is about to be the first state in America that mandates mental health screening for every single student. This sounds harmless, right? Wrong. This test isn't about helping kids. It's an attempt from Big Pharma to get their dirty little hands on our children early on. The questions we need to be asking as parents and teachers in America are: why are public schools being used to push pills? Who is really cashing in? And what does this mean for the future of our education system? I talk about all of this and more in today's video. Welcome to Schooling America. Let me give you a little bit of historical background to give you guys a better idea of what's going on in Illinois right now and why it should worry parents. Back in the 1990s, in a stunt to sell more Zoloft, in a time where doctors were uncomfy treating mental illness, marketing strategist Howard Kroplik cleverly designed an intentionally vague 9-question mental health questionnaire, better known as the PHQ-9. The PHQ-9 has been proven to overdiagnose depression and has generated Pfizer over $30 billion in revenue. It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for me, Kroplik said when speaking out publicly about his greedy marketing scheme. Yes, Kroplik, you're right. It would not have happened without you. And instead of viewing your target market as people first, you're viewing them as the consumer. And when you turn a patient into a consumer, you know their appetite is insatiable if what you're feeding them is pills. In other words, we were doomed the moment Pfizer decided to hire a marketing team instead of medical researchers. So like I mentioned before, Illinois just passed a law that mandates that every single child across the state in grades 3 through 12 are required to take this mental health survey. Except, of course, if your parent decides to opt you out of the questionnaire every single year. As if we need another mandatory standardized test for our students. Now, the Illinois State Board of Education has until September 1st of 2026 to decide how exactly this program is going to play out. And mind you, this is all in the name of helping our children, of course. I mean, I can't think of a single child growing up in today's screen-saturated world who could answer 0 on question number 7. Go out and grab a bite to eat for dinner, or take a trip to the grocery store, and you'll see kids zombied out on iPhones before they can even speak. Just because something is common does not mean it is normal. Just because it's common that children are addicted to iPads and screens does not mean that it is normal. Just because more and more children are experiencing mental health crisis and body dysphoria and gender dysphoria does not mean that it is normal. It is unethical to make elementary-aged kids believe there is something wrong with them when we have multi-billion-dollar tech companies chemically hacking their brains. When the majority of parents are feeding their children carbs and sugar for breakfast, Red 40 as a snack, and processed food for dinner. How could we jump to treating something as serious as mental illness and giving out antidepressants like they're candy without even taking into consideration that we are incapable of nurturing children on a very basic biological level? Something is deeply unsettling about all of this to me. And I'm not here denying the rampant mental health crisis among children and adults, but you think the solution here is to just pass out Zoloft? But here's where it gets even darker. This isn't even just about the pills anymore. In the 21st century, data is the new gold. It's tracked, traded, and sold like a commodity. That's why it concerns me that every single child across the state of Illinois takes a mental health questionnaire. When children's inner lives and natural emotional development becomes entries on a spreadsheet, we have to ask, who is benefiting from this and at what cost? And there's a popular marketing quote that goes, if the product is free, you are the product. And so when we're thinking about free mental health care, nothing is ever free in America. And we're talking about deeply personal mental health information that's being collected, stored, in a system that fails to protect students' basic privacy. And sure enough, the risk isn't just hypothetical. Kokomo Solutions, an edtech company providing telehealth services to Los Angeles students, just suffered a massive data breach. And for context, that LA school county was the second largest school district in the entire nation. A quote from Superintendent Alberto Carvalho was featured on Kokomo Solutions' website until this week. After news of the data breach broke, multiple references to the company's work with the district quietly disappeared from their site. A telehealth breach in schools isn't just as simple as stolen information. Leaked records could expose diagnoses, patient notes, family history, family medication, and information that can never just be taken back. Districts risk lawsuits, HIPAA and FERPA penalties, and millions of dollars wasted on damage control instead of helping, drumroll please, the teachers and the students. And worse, parents lose trust in an already failing public education system. And students who are extremely vulnerable, who actually really need this mental health support, may stop seeking it altogether. In the end, a breach means broken trust, financial strain, and long-term harm to our children's well-being. And beyond just the data, what is left of the family unit if its only job now is to funnel kids into the system? The state feeds your child, teaches them literature, science, and history, dresses them up with a set of morals that you may not practice at home. The state denies religion, rewrites traditions, and tells your children what to believe as right or wrong. It manages your children's time, their speech, and their sense of identity. And now they're taking authority in treating your child's emotions and their mental health. What is left of the family unit? And the worst part about all of this is parents are helpless. They're literally sitting back, watching as it all happens, watching their authority get chipped away piece by piece. If the family once shaped the soul of their child, the state now claims that job for themselves. So now we have mental health counselors in our schools telling our children they're depressed. The same mental health counselors and teachers who have only known your child for maybe not even 100 days. Wow, I can't see anything going wrong with that. What is happening here is the basic definition of self-fulfilling prophecy. Tell a child over and over again that they are depressed, that something is wrong with them. Bonus points if you have proof to back it up. And over time, that child will genuinely believe that he or she is depressed and will then naturally seek out ways to validate their new worldview. Congratulations, you have just created the depression that you claimed to diagnose. Self-fulfilling prophecy is a real concept, and research backs it up. One study found that when teachers had unrealistically high expectations, students actually rose to those expectations and performed better in both reading and math. But when teachers had low expectations, student performance sank, especially in reading. The stories adults tell about kids often becomes the very same story kids believe about themselves. And that's another reason why I'm so wary of introducing gender ideology and gender identity in elementary school. At that age, young children's identities are so malleable. They are vulnerable and trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in. Introducing something like depression or gender dysphoria this early in childhood could shape their lives in ways that last far beyond childhood. You could watch my other videos if you want to hear more about my opinion on that, but I digress. But this is another example of how public schools are finding more ways to hijack the family and take the child further away from their own parents. What does this mean for the future of American public schools? Well, since the pandemic, parents have been slowly waking up to the quality of education that their children are receiving through their local public school. Homeschool rates are skyrocketing, voucher programs are enabling and encouraging school choice, and just overall public trust in public education is on a downward spiral. Teachers can't even trust that admin have their own back when it comes to circumstances involving their students and their parents. Overall, it's just not looking good. If we don't want public schools to cannibalize themselves with micro schools and homeschooling, then we need to do something about where public school is headed now, before it's too late. The public school system isn't even just failing children. It's actively breaking down society too. And the truth is, we can't fix public education without acknowledging first what is broken. And the system isn't even just broken anymore. It is rotten at the root. Now, this is just Illinois, but how long before all states in America adopt this? Parents and teachers need to wake up and fight against these things before the system makes decisions for us. This has nothing to do with educating our children, increasing reading scores, comprehension, mathematics skills. This has nothing to do with making a child a more well-rounded individual who is independent, who becomes a resilient adult in their future. This has nothing to do with education and everything to do with exploitation. I'm not here to really argue politics with you guys. Unfortunately, the American education system has become extremely political over the years, so there's no avoiding it, but my main goal here is to point out the flaws in our education system, uncover the hidden agendas that are harming our children, and spread the word on what is really happening in our classrooms to arm families with knowledge. And the moment you wake up and see it for what it is, the moment the system loses power over you. Reclaim your role as the parent, as the first teacher in your child's life, and strengthen your family bond. The safest place for a child has always been inside of a strong family. And a strong family is the first line of defense against a broken world. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.